Mac Truck, aka your worst nightmare. Mac Truck, aka your worst nightmare. Mac Truck, aka your worst nightmare. Mac Truck, Mac Truck, Mac Truck.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome back. We're here. It's Hump Day, Wednesday, August 19th, 2026. My name is Mac Truck. Thank you for joining us here on the Mac Truck Podcast, Mac Truck in the Morning-ish, presented to you by the Underknown Network, as well as you, the viewers, the listeners, the ingesters of such a show. I appreciate you for joining me here. Again, like I said, my name is Mac Truck. Here on the ones and twos for you, got a short docket. Gonna talk obviously some more WNBA today, as well as the joint practice brawl between the Dallas Cowboys and the New Orleans Saints, as well as a tribute to one of the reasonings why we have sports on a 24-hour cycle with the tragic sudden passing of Bill Rasmussen, co-founder of ESPN. So we got a lot going on today, a lot to talk about, all kinds of things here on the Mac Truck Show. Like I said, I appreciate you guys for joining me today. This presentation is brought to you by the Underknown Network. Make sure you're following all things Underknown, and make sure you are following the network, all the shows on the network, including the Mac Truck Show, Mac Truck in the Game podcast, which comes back on Sunday, the 23rd. Can't wait for that. Also, make sure you're checking out Flying Out with Dat Dude Biggs on your late night stream, as well as on the Map Music Reviews. On the Map Music Reviews later this week, we will have the official plug for you later on in the show. Also, don't forget to tune in to On the Map today, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Samuel Green for episode 19. We're here, out here. FLG, thank you for joining us here this morning, this afternoon, this midday, wherever you are watching from. If you guys are in here, go ahead and tap the screen. Let's get the shares. Let's get the algorithm back up here. Let's fill some galleries, get some folks in here. Let's have a good sports conversation here on the Mac Truck Podcast this morning. Listen, it is another day of WNBA talk, specifically on Wednesday here. I'm excited. You're excited. If you're not excited, I'm not really sure what to tell you. I appreciate you guys for joining us here. Always shout out from the network on both sides. I appreciate you guys for joining me. Excuse me, I'm still trying to get it out. Like I said, we got a short docket, so we probably won't be on until 2 o'clock. So hopefully we can get everybody in here that was in here yesterday for our sports conversations here. Like I said, hitting the NFL, hitting WNBA, and then doing our tribute to the co-founder of ESPN and Mr. Bill Rasmussen. I said you can find all of our shows on various streaming networks, but as far as this one on a daily basis is again presented to you by the Underknown Network and our executive producer, Evan Thunder Bradfield, and co-executive producer, Mr. FLG Gameflow himself, J-Mac. Listen, feeling like my vocal cords are a little different today. Feeling like we got a little bit of a deeper voice. Not really sure where that's coming from, and I'm totally okay with it. But we're here talking sports. Like I said, I got to keep sharing it out. Try to get some more people in here for our conversation. So, and like I said, I appreciate you guys for joining me here today on the show. And once we get it shared out here, we are going to get started. Finally was able to hop on of getting everything back together. Just got my notes and stuff done, got them out a little bit late, but I got them done, sent them to the producer, all the things. So like I said, so just so you guys know, there will not be a morning show tomorrow, Thursday, August 20th. Taking time off, probably for about a day or two. I'm still trying to decide, but I'm definitely taking tomorrow off to spend all of the time with my family before school and college and everything starts up back this coming Monday. So it'll be interesting trying to get that back together in terms of our new daily schedule when school starts. So we'll get that under control, and then like I said, we'll get everything going, everything back where it should be all of the things. Like I said, I appreciate you guys being in here with me today. So here we go. Let's talk about it. J-Mac, if you're still with me, tap the screen, sir. Let's get into the conversation. Listen, I was still on my kick of having one to no soda a day, or 0 to no soda a day. Had one yesterday. Didn't have one all day on Monday. Super proud of myself. But we're here. We're going to talk about it. Let's get it going. All right. The WNBA was hot last night. When I say hot, I mean it was Kelsey Mitchell out here again. Caitlin Clark out here again. Sophie Cunningham out here again. Okay. It's astonishing to me. Just how good this game really was, and just how high I feel like the ceilings for some of these teams are. In my bag all day. What's good with it? Welcome in. We're talking WNBA. Like I said, if you're just joining us, got 3 topics for you, so probably won't be on until that 2:00 mark. There also will not be a show tomorrow. Taking a vacation day to harass my wife and bully her all around, and just to close out the summer season with my family before college starts again and school starts again and all things. So, but right now we're talking WNBA. Right now we're talking the entire slate from last night. Like I said, time to get into WNBA, just because last night was one of those nights like you just kind of had to watch the scoreboard. You kind of just had to watch the game to really believe and see what was going on. With that being said, we had playoff implications, individual performances, teams trying to make statements. A couple games that were that were one of those, like, couple of those games last night were those games that really gave us something to talk about today, and honestly the rest of the week, just because the WNBA is one of the hottest things going on right now in the summertime. So obviously, I talked a lot about college football the past week or so, NFL preseason. So like I said last time, as far as like our summer slate and fall slate kind of meshing together, that's exactly what it is. So let's break down. This breakdown is presented to you by In My Bag Apparel Customs, the official sponsor, founding member, and co-executive producer of the Mack Truck Show, Mack Truck in the Morning-ish, if you will. Got to start with the Indiana Fever again, and I feel bad because I feel like people think I purposely am trying to start with them. I'm going in order of the game slates from the night before, just so we're aware, unless it's something that I feel like is necessarily needs to be attacked first, as far as like our information and space we're providing you. And again, you can find all this information at ESPN.com, YahooSports.com rather, as well as Indiana Fever Wire, Toronto Tempo, news sources up in Canada, as well as WNBA.com, in terms of your stats and storylines that I am presenting to you here on the Mack Truck Show, Mack Truck the Morning. Thank you for joining us here. If you're on both streams, go ahead and tap it out, share it out. Let's get some people in here. Let's get some dailies going. Let's hang out. Let's have a conversation. Like I said, I'm excited to be here. So listen, the Indiana Fever have been on this stretch of either having Kelsey Mitchell and Caitlin Clark, and for the most part, Leah Boston, the big three, scoring upwards towards 20 plus points or more in a game. Right now, Kelsey Mitchell literally keeps breaking history. She just had her 20th game of 20 points or more in a single game, making that streak up to 20. Caitlin Clark now in first place for holding the most games with 20 plus points and 10 plus assists out here in the WNBA sphere. But I want to talk about the Toronto Tempo. And although their record doesn't necessarily show how good their individual pieces are, I think for the most part, the Tempo are just having that typical very first season of installation type of deal. Good morning, Alfonso. Thank you for joining us here on the Mack Truck Show. Talk at WNBA. Listen, the Fever came into this one sitting at 23-12 and fourth in the league. So as of last night, as I was typing these up and getting everything prepared, the Indiana Fever is currently number 4 in the race. I do believe it is Minnesota, Golden State, Las Vegas, Indiana, Atlanta, and New York at the top 5. We haven't talked about Vegas yet. We're just getting into the WNBA talks. So you are right on time, my friend. Go ahead and tap the screen, get all of the dailies, share it out, post it to your story if you will. But you are right on time for our show. Good morning, Amanda. Welcome in. I appreciate you for joining us here on the show. Go ahead and share it out. Tap the screen. Get all your dailies. All of the things. Back to basketball, though. Listen, Indiana handled business. And when I tell you this is the first of 5 games that the Indiana Fever have on the road, mind you. So I'm interested to see. Right now they're 1-1. Okay? They're 1-1. Gonna see what the rest of the slate brings. I'm interested to see. I don't necessarily know if Indiana's gonna go win all 5 of these road games, but at this point, the way everybody's playing and the way everybody's shooting, and the way the ball movement is for the Indiana Fever is just phenomenal. It's fantastic. You love to see it. This is the type of basketball you want to see right around now, and hopefully they can keep the stretch going right into the postseason. So here we go. The Fever put up 101 points. Tells you right away that Indiana obviously is capable of offensively moving the ball. Toronto scored 95, so it wasn't exactly some type of runaway. I want you guys to understand, again, and obviously unless you're watching the sport, all the things, the last couple Indiana games, with the exception of probably the last Vegas game, have been close. They have been all close games. They've either won them in overtime or won them just by the skin of their teeth. And this is the type of thing we want to see going into the postseason when it comes to WNBA basketball. Like I said, this is high level professional basketball going into the postseason. So this is what we love to see. Either way, like I said, Toronto scored 95 points. It wasn't exactly right away where Indiana controlled everything from the opening tip, which is true. However, when you have somebody like a Marina Mabry, like a Brittany Sykes who's coming off of an injury, like a Kiki Rice who gets drafted, you have a Temi Fagbenle who's got the veteranship. You have pieces around you in Toronto. It's just obviously not having that longevity as a unified group and team is where some of their flaws have lied as far as that's concerned. So, and listen, and huge shout out to really Portland and Toronto for being those 2 teams of new installation here. As it stands. And I love to see the fact that we're just out here and we're getting back to just talking about the sport of basketball, or the sport of football, or sport of, MMA, whatever it is. We're getting back to actually talking the meat and bones of the sports. So listen, what I liked about this game really was, Indiana's mental side of it. Indiana lately has had a way of kind of grabbing you by the jugular and just kind of whipping you around like a Chucky doll. Their mental warfare is interesting, especially when you have polarizing players like a Caitlin Clark, when you have polarizing players like Sophie Cunningham. We could talk about Banks. It depends on what part of this you're wanting to talk about, Alfonso, once we get into the subject of that matter, my dear friend. Either way, Indiana is literally a sleeper team and has been. I mean, yes, they're number 4, but they sneak up on you. They had a little bit of a rocky start. Caitlin Clark was still trying to find her footing as far as getting out from underneath that injury, all the things. Now this seems like she's got that injury, controlled or subsided for the most part. Her efficiency has been what we wanted to see last season. Obviously we couldn't. Okay, no problem, my friend. It's all right. We all mistype and all the things. So, we are going to talk about that here in just a second. We're going to save that for the fan interaction, kind of like we had yesterday. With the Fever, it's really just like knowing you're a playoff team, but making sure you can continue on that motion. That's the biggest thing, is making sure that you can continue on in your road to getting the championship trophy raised at the end of the season. Good morning, Callisti. Welcome in. I appreciate you guys for joining us here on both sides. This is Mac Truck in the Morning-ish, the Mac Truck podcast presented to you by the Unknown Network. Huge shout out to the network. Make sure you're following all things on the network. On the map later today, on the map music reviews as well. Tomorrow, we're going to get the official plugs in for you later. Make sure you tap the screen, share, subscribe, hit your dailies, get all your things going. We're out here. I hope everybody's having a good Wednesday. Just here talking about some playoff implications for the WNBA, as well as the show being presented to you by Vitamin Water, not Dr. Pepper today. We're still on the healthy track, or healthier track. Either way, like I said, with Indiana, you're a playoff team. You're playing on the road. You're facing teams that are honestly desperate for a win to try to even sneak into that 8th spot. And I feel like if Toronto hadn't dropped even 4 of the last 7 games they've played, I fully believe that they would try to sneak in at that number 8 spot. But we'll just have to see. We still have a little bit of regular season left before huge playoff implications start to come about. All of the things. I said those games have good teams, they have good wins, and they're just not playing their best basketball in terms of having teams and those pieces that are playing to get wins, but also earn their first version of installment, that type of thing. Either way, that's exactly what Indiana's been doing. You can't really deny it. You can't really deny what is happening, what you're seeing. Like it's good basketball being played. We're not just talking about the controversies. In fact, I'm trying to avoid talking about the controversies, but sports and controversies seem to go 1-1. Big shout out to Khaleesi for hitting level 10 in the truck tunnel. I appreciate you for joining us here. Thank you, ma'am. You are amazing, just like everybody else on both sides of the stream here. Moving on, listen, my last question, just in terms of the Fever, in terms of basketball play right now, because there is a little bit of controversy, kind of shocking controversy, if you will. One, is Indiana becoming a legitimate threat in the Eastern Conference, or are we still wanting to see whether they can make noise against the league's elite? I think I kind of just answered my own question. I feel like the Indiana Fever right now, as it stands, has already shown that they can go up against the best teams. They've beaten Vegas once. They've beaten New York once. They've beaten Golden State once. They beat Vegas for the first time in terms of the recent era. Let me just phrase that. The past couple 3-4 years, they have not been able to beat the Vegas Aces at all up until this season, and you love to see it because you love to see the constant growth in the team, and not even just the Fever, but you like to see consistent growth and constant growth against all with all teams in the league. So this is something that we love to see. It's peak basketball. That's what it is. It's peak basketball. Like I said, Indiana had entered this game after the 95-91 overtime game in Atlanta, again, which Caitlin Clark had 26 points and added 9 assists, with Kelsey Mitchell having 20. Again, you can find all this information at WNBA.com. Now, listen, here's the quick add-on in terms of the Indiana Fever. So for the first time ever, I think, in life, that I have been an Indiana fan, and the first time ever in life that anybody on national TV has seen Kelsey Mitchell even raise an eyebrow in some kind of stink towards another player on an opposite team, like visibly. Kelsey Mitchell is not to be played with. Kelsey Mitchell and Marina Mabrey had it out, and this one was an oddball for me. Obviously, we all know how hard Marina Mabrey plays. We know that she's very scrappy, she's very gritty. That is a part of her game that I do enjoy. I just never expected Kelsey Mitchell to be the person to give her the sass and fire back. Not ever in life did I think that was going to be a thing. And when I saw her standing in front of Marina Mabrey, all 5'9" of her, with her finger in her face, I said, oh, that looks like my sister. If she knows what's good for her, she should probably just back off, her being Marina Mabrey. And Marina just stood there like, oh, like, I didn't expect this. Yeah, like, you gonna press the right buttons on the wrong day. Oh, I was so, listen, good morning, Melissa. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate you joining us. Go ahead and tap the screen, share it out. We're talking sports here, just covering some more WNBA. Marina Mabrey and Kelsey Mitchell obviously got tangled up. Exchange wars, the situation escalated enough that both of them received a technical. Never in my life have I seen Kelsey Mitchell get a technical foul against her. I've always seen her shoot the technical fouls or commit a technical foul, obviously in favor of them shooting, but I've never seen her receive one for her actions. And I don't necessarily think it was warranted, but obviously, like, scuffling up, like, you're taking a little bit of time away from the game. I completely understand it. So on that aspect, it is warranted, but I've never in life seen Kelsey Mitchell get a technical foul, or even as much as like her common fouls during her common foul average is also super low. So I just was like I said, I'm going to tell you something. Like, I don't have a problem with the competitiveness. They're professional athletes. They're battling. Obviously, like, that's a thing. Like, it's sports. That's what happens with sports. But like I said, when you see somebody like Kelsey Mitchell lose her mind, when she's 99% of the time normally pretty composed, you messed up. Like, if Kelsey Mitchell has to point her finger at you, you're doing too much. And I think it's outstanding, frankly, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. Either way, like I said, when you see Kelsey Mitchell that fired up, you know something, you know you got under somebody's skin if she's opening her mouth. I just can't stress that enough. Like, and I'm always saying that because we're used to seeing Marina Mabrey act in such a way, which is not a bad thing. That's just her competitive nature. That's how she's played. I think it was interesting. Like I said, Mabrey finished the points leader for the Toronto Tempo with 22 points, including 2 huge threes in the fourth to almost kind of bring it back. I'm excited. Like I said, I'm excited to see that the Toronto Tempo have a great coach. They've got those great individual pieces. Now they can go into next year with some fluidity, with some consistency, with something to build on. Because you can't really build on something that's not there, especially as a first new team. So I'm excited to see the rest of their season. On top of that, Kelsey Mitchell and Caitlin Clark were again have made history in the WNBA, being the 16th time that each of them has scored 20 plus points in a game, which is a new WNBA single season record for a shooting guard point guard duo. That's insanity. So listen, they passed the previous record which was set by Cappie Pondexter and Diana Taurasi in 2008, which was a feat of 15 times for Phoenix back, like I said, back in 2008. You can find this on apnews.com. Kelsey Mitchell wasn't finished, though. She had 29 points, had that is now on her 20th consecutive game of 20 points each, and now has tied Asia Wilson for the longest streak in WNBA history, according to, again, AP News. I appreciate you guys for joining me here. Thank you. We're covering the WNBA. Just got 2 more topics here for you. Going to try to get out of here before that 2 o'clock hour. So engage. Let's talk some sports. Duck Daddy, welcome in. No, I don't have any sofas for you right now. We're talking sports, not sofa sales. I appreciate you, though. Alfonso, we are getting to the Vegas game here in just a second. Like I said, you have Caitlin Clark creating, you have Kelsey Mitchell scoring, you have Aaliyah Boston also giving you 16 points. I really want to see if Aaliyah Boston can get her efficiency back up in its entirety. Just so we can keep adding, and I say we as a fan base member of the Indian Fever, to be able to get that big threes efficiency back up. Also, you now have Sophie Cunningham, who's averaging more than 3 or 4 points a game. Now, she dropped 13 on them last night as well. Am I doing a show Friday? Currently, yes. Currently, there will be a show Friday. Definitely not a show tomorrow, though, just so we're clear. If you missed that at the top of the show, no show tomorrow. Show possibly Friday, more than likely, yes. I'm going to spend the time harassing my wife and my daughter before school and college start back up again. All of the things. My favorite player is Adam Salem and the Waterboy. You guys are funny. Listen, I appreciate the banter already. Let's get everything going. Let's get some stuff going. Let's get some people in here and talk some more sports. Either way, if you ask me, I think Kelsey Mitchell and Caitlin Clark have to be at least top 3 duos in the WNBA right now. And I think I've said that before. Either way, let's get to some more stats here. Connecticut Sun get this one on, I believe, at home versus LA Sparks, 85-77. We're talking the Connecticut Sun versus the LA Sparks last night. This one had a little bit more emotion attached to it because Connecticut played its game at TD Garden in Boston. And this was the Suns' final appearance before the franchise moves to Houston. So if you don't know, haven't heard, as far as like WNBA, they are reinstalling the very first original WNBA team and the very first WNBA champions in at least the franchise in the Houston Comets. I don't like the fact that they're like seemingly enough getting rid of the Connecticut Sun. You could have just added them back to Texas, because you could now have 2 women's teams back in Texas. Hell, you really should have 3. You should bring back the San Antonio Silver Stars, but you can't because you turn them into the Vegas Aces. Either way, still salty about that as an old school fan. Fact of the matter is, the Connecticut Sun made sure that they left Boston with a win. The Sun beat the Sparks, like I said, 85-77, and Olivia Nelson-Ododa was a huge part of that. If you did not see that game, she dropped 18 points, had 11 rebounds, giving Connecticut another strong performance from the lower front court, if you will. The other thing I really liked about Connecticut is the depth has finally come back, seemingly enough. The depth that they have coming off the bench, the depth that they have from people that's not Clea Copper, that's not DeWanna Bonner, that's not AT, it's not Alyssa Thomas. We love to see it. We absolutely love to see and hear that there is parity across teams. The Sun contributions, like I said, from multiple players showed up all over across the numbers. Shot 51% from the floor and won the battle in the areas, rebounding, assisting, obviously fast break points, things like that. Here's the other thing. While Los Angeles had a rough night offensively, the Sparks shot 2 for 16 from 3, and we're still missing several players. Ray Burrell still gave them 19 points and 6 assists with 2 blocks. Nneka Ogwumike added 18 points and 7 rebounds, but the Sparks just couldn't overcome the offensive woes that they were having tonight. And also a question for LA, like, can the team get healthy enough to find some consistency before the season gets away from them? I don't know. I truly don't know. I'm not sure. I wish I could answer that question. And I unfortunately cannot, and that's okay. But there's always a chance. Like I said, there's still time in the regular season for them to try to build a little bit of consistency before it gets away from them, because they could sneak into that number 8 spot as well. You can also find all this information at ctinsider.com as well. And we're going to talk about Nneka Ogwumike. So news came out that Nneka Ogwumike has reported that this is more than likely going to be her last season of active WNBA service. And honestly, I'm kind of bummed. I was bummed that Chiney hasn't come back yet. And now Nneka has announced that she is probably retiring. And I'm just like watching my childhood kind of just like make an exit as far as like a lot of these mainstream father get this one 93-86 against the New York Liberty. Again, Natasha Cloud out here putting on a show. Cloud 33 points, shooting for 13 for 21 from the field, adding 7 rebounds and 6 assists against her former team. Mind you, I love when players that get moved around and get traded play their former team and just cook them or put up big points, whatever that looks like. I'm here for it, absolutely, in its entirety, here for it. Listen, that's the storyline itself. Natasha Cloud out here cooking her old team, and it really wasn't just Natasha Cloud like scoring a bunch of points. Like, she was affecting the game where you needed to, rebounding, passing, ball movement, coming off ball screens, setting up ball screens. Like, Natasha Cloud was out here, and the fact that she has been able to get on a team after all the controversy in the offseason is something I love to see. Like, the intensity that she adds on the defensive end off the top naturally is also a thing. Like, it's something that goes unrecognized, and I hate that. I absolutely hate that. But you can't recognize everything in every single player across every single league. It's just physically impossible. The other thing is Chicago hadn't won the rebound battle in a long time. Last night they did, out rebounding 44-35. Obviously give them a big boost and second chance opportunities. And that's what you have a Camila Cardoso for. Like, absolutely. Like, her game has developed so much more since she's become a rookie in the league as well. So it's just something you love to see. Obviously, with New York having their problems, Jonquel Jones left the game with an ankle injury. That's something, obviously, like, New York fans this season have been sadly accustomed to. You had Sebi out for the first couple games to start the season. Stu has been out for just a little bit here and there. Juhan also been out for a little bit here and there. There hasn't been a lot of like core 5 consistency, and I hate that for them. And then it sucks that we're not. It sucks that we're not seeing the real effectiveness that the New York Liberty has been able to have on the league since they won in 2024, and that's okay. You're gonna have a fall off. This year may be one of those seasons for the New York Liberty where that happens. Either way, we're still here talking basketball, and I appreciate you guys for joining us here on Mac Truck in the Morning-ish, the Mac Truck Show, presented to you by the Underknown Network as well as TikTok Live. Thank you for joining me. My name is Mac Truck. Go ahead and tap the screen, share it out, get all your friends in here. Let's hit some goals. Somebody could please give me a follow refresh. I would deeply appreciate it. We're still here talking WNBA basketball. Let's talk the last game here. The Atlanta Dream get this one versus the Vegas Aces, 96-82. This was not a squeaker. Okay, it wasn't a lucky bounce. They being the Atlanta Dream, had Jordan Canada back. That was the difference between them losing in overtime to the Fever and winning in regulation last night. Okay. Atlanta going into Vegas and making a statement. Again, another team on the cusp, not even on the cusp, but in the mix of that top 5, top 6 in terms of the playoff run. Come in to Vegas Arena and put the Aces on skates. I hate to even say this, but I don't know if there's any team, and mind you, this isn't quite the playoffs, so I can't speak about playoff play right now with the Aces because it's not playoffs quite yet. But I don't know if there's any team in the WNBA, even if you have a losing record, I don't know if there's a team in the WNBA that's really scared or threatened or intimidated by the Vegas Aces, which is scary enough to say in the least. Like, I even had a hard time saying that, but again, just because it's not the playoffs. Obviously, the Vegas Aces in the playoffs are a completely different animal. Everybody knows that. Jordan Canada does not care, though. That's fair. And Alfonso brings up a good point, is Vegas does not really have a bench, which is interesting to me. But here's also, that's what they're saying last year when that happened. Right, but that's what I'm saying is, like, I can't, I'm not going to knock on Vegas too much because of the fact we all know how they play during the playoffs. It's a completely different animal, completely different team. You know, you get your rest, you make your adjustments, all the things. But right now, as it stands, just having that little bit outside, like those, the couple games, couple series left before the playoff implications in itself, as far as like the bracket being set. I don't know if there's a team right now that's intimidated by the Aces. And you have AW. Yeah. Listen, all the points that you guys are making in the chat are perfect. You are not going to hear me argue or complain because I largely agree. I just don't know if it's the other teams catching on to what they're doing, or are these teams actually just playing high efficiency level basketball and able to keep up with a juggernaut, a in season Vegas juggernaut right now. So far, the answer has been yes. It's a thing. I mean, like I said, it's no knock. Vegas is still not to be messed with. I don't care what you tell me. Vegas is still not to be messed with. That's fair, but I just think Minnesota has it this year. And and like I said, I largely agree. I mean, in the same respect, and not just happy, and I'm not just being a fan of the things. I honestly think it could go anywhere between the top 5. It could go Minnesota, Vegas, Indiana, Atlanta, or Golden State. I literally think it could go between any 5 of them. But obviously, just if we're basing it off of records, I'm definitely sticking with Alfonso in the large majority in terms of the eye test saying that the Minnesota Lynx may have it locked up this season. They're waiting for the playoffs. Becky taking a pop approach. Yeah, no, and that's what Coach Becky Hammon is really good at. She comes from that Coach Greg Popovich tree. She obviously knows how to put these things together. Y'all, like, Becky Hammon is no, like, she's no stranger to this. Like, I just worry that the coaching decisions may be a little bit too late. I don't want them to fall behind. I don't want them to fall 0-1, 0-2 in the opening series of playoffs. I don't think that's going to happen, but if, she's not moving the pieces around, long enough, correctly enough, whatever that looks like, it could have an effect on the playoffs. So either way, the Atlanta Dream also out here not to be messed with in that 4-5 spot as well. I can't stress enough, and like I've said in the past, this is an Angel Reese hate-free zone. There will be no Angel Reese slander here unless it's actually warranted. Like I said a couple shows ago, Angel Reese making the switch and making the move that putting her career in front of her and seeing what her potential was and making the career move to go to Atlanta was probably the best thing that she has done right now. As a third-year WNBA veteran, I'm saying, because she's got a couple years on the two new classes. Angel Reese going to Atlanta, the best thing that she could have done so far. Having a Jordan Canada, Ryan Howard, Alicia Gray, Tahina Pow. Listen. What? Like, I love it. I love where basketball's at. Either way, the lot being handled here in the WNBA. Like I said, you'll find this information at WNBA.com and your respective team sites as well as APnews.com, YahooSports.com as well. Listen, before we hop into the next topic here, got to give a shout out to the network. Listen, if you guys are here for the conversations and you're rocking with the show, make sure you're following everything on the Underknown Network. If you're looking for sports, culture, conversations, and creators who are not afraid to bring you something different, you need to tap in with us here at the Underknown Network. Okay. This is where voices deserve to be heard, to get a platform from sports to talk, entertainment, podcasts, long, live conversations, everything in between. The Underknown Network is literally building something special, like I said, also on the map, presented to you by the Tara Thomas Agency. Okay? Huge collaboration for the squad, the fellas in the back, executives, all the things, co-founders, founders, everything in between. Make sure you are checking out us on the map. Of course, you can check the Mack Truck Podcast here daily. Like I said, there will not be a show tomorrow. Friday is looking more like a possibility, but also I got to spend time with my family, y'all. Got to spend time with my family. Got to harass my wife. So, like I said, definitely no show tomorrow. We'll regroup tomorrow night and see what we're looking at for Friday. But definitely still look for us here daily. Chopping up with P. Scott. Listen, in the TikTok sphere, make sure you're checking out Chopping It Up with P. Scott, also presented to you by the Sports Avenger Sports Network on StreamYard as well. Listen, we're here. We're talking NFL and my unfortunate Dallas Cowboys. And I say unfortunate because been a lifelong fan. Never in my current cognitive adult lifetime have I seen them get to an NFC championship or a Super Bowl. Hoping that changes this season, but I can literally only go a game at a time. I can't really, I don't like to look beyond a couple games. Can we get to the first game and build from there? I'll tell you this, though. The aggressiveness that the Dallas Cowboys are showing in joint practices, I'm kind of here for. With this new core of defense that they've had. So if you haven't heard, obviously NFL has joint practices, preseason games, all the things to prepare for the upcoming season. The Dallas Cowboys and New Orleans Saints got together in Oxford, California. Obviously, that's where the Dallas Cowboys have their off-season training camp, all the things. Okay, not just for just was supposed to be a friendly joint practice with them and the New Orleans Saints. Okay, instead of everybody getting some good work in, we had after fight. When I say that, I mean 6 fights. 6. Listen, are we practicing football or is this WWE? I'm a fan of each, but can we not collide the two? Can we not just, can we just not, like, they don't need to mesh, okay? You can't they're not like cross-body sports, all right? It is what it is. Either way, listen, 6. And I'm not making it up. You can find it on ESPN.com. You can find it on Dallas Cowboys Wire. You can find it on NFL. You can find the pictures everywhere. Listen, Dallas Cowboys defensive end Donovan Izaraku was sent off the field after throwing a punch, especially noteworthy because he was also removed from Cowboys practice earlier in camp for getting into it with a physical altercation. And I can't sit here and say, listen, I can't sit here and say that I don't appreciate the aggressiveness. You got to have aggressiveness to play to play football. You have to be an aggressive player to be on defense. That is a thing. But we are in a joint practice and we're trying to get ready for the damn season. I see comments here in the chat. Did you see the brawl? I did not see it. I heard about it though. And I'm kind of bummed that I didn't put it in my notes. But we got one more topic and the audience interaction. So we will talk about it, just not on the official tip. Either way, listen, football is violent. You're putting helmets on. You're competing. You got shoulder pads on. You have dudes that are trying to make the 52-man roster, 53-man roster. I completely understand it. But at what point do we try to rein in the physical issues? Like, I get, again, playing physical. I get preparing. But this is football, American football. Not kickboxing, MMA, jiu-jitsu, WD, boxing, Western kickboxing, combat karate, dirty boxing, bare knuckle. This is not none of that. It's just football. But like I said, I do love to see the passion, the aggressiveness of such a team that is the Dallas Cowboys. It kind of puts a smirk on my face. But that also makes me worried that either one of them fools over there could blow their top off in aggressiveness and anger. It's okay though. It happens. Either way, you can find this at DallasCowboysWire.com as well. Now here's something interesting. Okay. There's still obviously some really good football moments. Chris Olave, former Ohio State teammates with Caleb Downs going at it once again, and I'm kind of excited to see this matchup. Obviously, Dak Prescott and Jake Ferguson to continue the show. The red zone efficiency and connectivity they have down there, so there is football being played. Obviously, then you have Ronnie Bell, the Saints receiver, who had to leave because of the heat. It is very hot down there in Oxnard. You can find this at the Connecticut Post.com as well. Got some comments here. Physicality wasn't in question. It's the shenanigans after. That's my biggest issue is the extra stuff after. Obviously in real game time situations, we know that the refs are going to do their best to just let them play, but not too much, not to do too much, got to be careful with those. If they will shenan, they will shenan again. That's a fact, sir. That is a fact. But I'll tell you this though. Like I said, I'm not exactly upset seeing the aggressiveness. I just, like I said, and like people have said on both sides of the chat, like, it is the doing too much after the play's over. Again, showing aggressiveness, trying to stand your ground, I get, but like, why are we doing too much? Especially during a joint practice. Like, it ain't even season yet. Like, and y'all out here just trying to blow each other's tops off. Like, all right, cool. Guess that's what we're doing. Like, that's how we're going to just, that's what it is. Listen, you guys are here with us. I appreciate it. Go ahead and tap the screen. Get your dailies in, all the things. We are still on our way to getting that 100th members so we can create a Mack Truck Tunnel community gift here. Goal to set to do that is mid-September, so just about 3 weeks here on the Truck Show. I appreciate it. Share it out to your stories, tap the screen, like it out, get all your dailies, all the things. I appreciate it if you guys would do that. And just so we know, because there was a random troll in here, asking people to share your story is not asking for money. Like, somebody literally was in the comments yesterday saying that because I was asking people to share it out and create a conversation, that they felt it necessary to put me on their page, and I blocked them. And I think it's funny that there's weird trolls out here that do stuff like that. Either way, listen, before we get to our final topic in our tribute to Bill Rasmussen, like I said, we are here to pay the bills and give a shout out to, obviously, it's Wednesday, so y'all know what time it is on the map. Episode 19 tonight, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Episode 19 only on the map with Samo Green. Find it. Presented to you by the Tara Thomas Agency, as well as the Underknown Network. Also, tomorrow on the map, music reviews are back after a week hiatus. Make sure you send your links to send your music to the link in the bio live, only on the map via TikTok, the Underknown Network, and all streaming platforms. Listen, one more topic here for the Mack Truck Show today. So, obviously, it is a big moment here in sports. We did with the passing of the co-founder of ESPN, Bill Rasmussen, who passed away yesterday at 91 years old, 93 years old, I do believe. Listen, when you sit here and think about the scope of sports in its entirety, and you think of the Entertainment and Sports Programming Network, better known as ESPN, you have to sit here and think, did you ever think in life that there was going to be a 24-hour sports cycle type of thing? That's never, that when you really sit there and think about it, I don't think the creators of ESPN really knew what they were starting. I don't think they really understood the assignment at that point. But I mean, obviously now in 2026, you have all kinds of things. You listen, ESPN was brought to the airwaves in 1978. The ecosystem owes something to the idea that Bill Rasmussen had back in 1978. And for me, it's the fact that there's so many different versions of ESPN. That's the biggest thing. Is it's not just straight ESPN. You have ESPN, you have Sports Center, you have the 24-hour cycle coverage. You have networks built around specific sports. You have ESPNW, you have ESPNU, you have ESPN Ocho. You have so many iterations of the entertainment and sports programming network in its entirety. And the vision that Bill and his son Scott came up with in the 1980s is something that had never been done before. Nobody in life thought that there was going to be able to be a 24-hour news cycle of sports. But when I tell you that man changed sports television, it's a thing. Like I said, Bill Rasmussen, co-founder of ESPN, has passed away at 93 years old. And again, when I'm saying that him and Scott changed the scope of sports to this day, it's not an exaggeration. As much, regardless of any of the economical problems and all the things happening in the sports world currently right now, the Rasmussen co-foundership changed sports and sports media to what we see today. And it's something that cannot be narked. What he did and accomplished with his son is something to you just gotta step back and just take a look around. Like I'm watching Little League baseball right now on ESPN. The Pat McAfee show was just on ESPN. You've had so many different iterations of your show. You've had several iterations of First Take. You have several iterations of Get Up. You've had Mike and Mike. You've had Greeny and Golick. You've had Jalen and Jacoby. You've had The Right Time with Bomani Jones. You had First Take when Carrie Champion was the moderator. Like, you've had all different kinds of iterations. You've had Chris Berman and Stuart Scott, a young Stephen A. Smith, Skip Bayless. You've had Cam Newton. You've had Ryan Clark. You've had you've had all kinds of different. Thank you for the confetti. I appreciate it. You've had all kinds of different iterations of ESPN, and it's crazy to think about. Listen, we have to pause. The queen is in the building. Everybody in the chat say, "Hey, baby," capital letters, because she loves when you do it. And she's simply here just to stop by and say, "Hey." We're on the topic, giving homage to under ESPN about Rasmussen. Yes, Jamel especially. Jamel Carey Champion, Elle Duncan, Sarah Spain, the trifecta, Aaron Kate. Like, you have so many iterations of things that happen on ESPN. You have College Game Day. You by the NBA. You have College Game Day Basketball Edition. There are so many things within ESPN that have stemmed from the original idea of the 24-hour sports cycle with Bill Rasmussen. And as somebody who's aspiring to be in this space with you and be in a space with them, it honestly brings me to tears, because I'm just like, bring all the old school types of graphics and the old school types of broadcasting that I grew up with, like watching sports with my siblings, watching sports with my dad, watching sports with my family, like being able to just physically remember some of the earliest times in ESPN where being on ESPN was like the it thing. And now you have all these other types of smaller networks that have built off of this idea of having a 24-hour sports cycle, and especially in the world of social media now. Like, it's 2026, y'all. And we have several different iterations of 24-hour sports cycle, whether you're receiving it this way, whether you're receiving it on the TV, whether you're receiving it when you're scrolling. It's crazy. It's crazy to look at. It's crazy to think about. And like I said, no one ever thought that there was going to be a 24-hour sports cycle type of idea. Like I said, Rasmussen and his team incorporated the network, specifically July of 1978, which was just over a year later on September 7th, specifically 1979, is when ESPN officially went on air from Bristol, Connecticut. That is why the home base of ESPN is in Bristol, for those of you who don't know. While ESPN is the worldwide leader in sports and entertainment, if you go down to Disney World, if you go to Disneyland, ESPN is a product of Disney. but the head base quarters for it is in Bristol, Connecticut, and that is on my bucket list. Good morning, Lisa. Thank you for joining us. We're just here on the last topic here on the Mack Truck Podcast, Mack Truck Show, Mack Truck Good Morning Ish. Again, there will be no show tomorrow, Thursday, August 20th, 2026. Taking the day off to harass my wife and my child before college and school starts and all things. Sierra, welcome and thank you for joining us. I appreciate it here. Either way, Sports Center was the very first program on ESPN. For those of you who did not know, Sports Center was the very first program. And remember, like I said, it was TV. Sports broadcasting and TV was a lot different back in the 70s and 80s than what we see it now. Almost 40 plus years of constantly changing sports cycles, constantly changing ways to receive your sports information, to get, all the access, all the, intangible access rather to your favorite athletes, to your favorite sports stories, to your favorite teams. Like, there wasn't a guarantee that anybody would even watch. That's the scary part about this whole thing, is like, when you think back to 1979, 1980, no one ever thought that people were just going to be feasting on getting sports in a 24-hour cycle. I don't really think anybody fathomed that being a thing. Now we fast forward to 10 years later, still as being around for a decade, from 1979 1989 going into the 90s, one of the top sports programming or media programming engines for that decade. Then you go from the 80s to the 90s, still the same thing. 90s to the 2000s, still the same thing. 2000s to the 2010s, still the exact same thing, with a little bit of deviation with Barstool and the Pat McAfee show starting out before he takes over ESPN. Before, you had Stephen A. going from having First Take to being the producer of it, to having the Stephen A. Smith show in terms of sports, now having Straight Shooter. Like, there's so many different iterations. You've had people like Will Kane on here. You've had people like Dan Patrick. You've had people like Rich Eisen, who started one of the very first original. Chris Berman, Rich Eisen, Stephen A. Smith with a hairline. Like there's it just, the cycle of sports media has just changed so much, and you have to pay homage to the people who created the idea. Like I said, Bill and Scott Rasmussen, we give our contributions to you. We tip our hats off to you, because without you, we literally may not have the cycle that we know now. So I do want to take a moment just to give a moment of silence for Bill Rasmussen and his passing. Thank you for that. Rest in paradise, my dear soul of an individual who created such a great idea when it comes to sports. And just a little bit more information on this topic before we close out. Again, you can find this on ESPN.com, specifically in terms of your information regarding Mr. Bill Rasmussen and the passing of him at age 93 as of yesterday. And I'll tell you what, like, obviously, this was the vision he had for everybody else. When you have a passion like sports, when you have a passion like entertainment and programming, and you want to put it all together in one, that's what you do. That's how you do it. You do it that way. You do it in such a way that it's selfless. You want everybody to be able to get opportunities. You want everybody to be able to have those times in sports to where they can get their pieces out. At least that's what it was in the 80s. Now it's like trying to pull teeth to get anybody to even look at you in your sports content, because ESPN has always been seen as the upper echelon. And obviously nowadays, like I said, there's always still been Fox Sports as well, CBS Sports. And honestly, CBS Sports is one of the longest running tenure sports networks in its entirety, because it's a product of Westwood One. And I'm only saying that because I used to work for Westwood One via Cumulus Media. I learned all this cool stuff when I was in the professional radio space, and it's something that's kind of just stuck with me. I appreciate you guys for joining me here on the show. Just got about 5-10 minutes left in the show. We're just paying our homage to, again, Bill Rasmussen, the co-founder of ESPN, who passed away yesterday at 93 years old. This show is presented to you by the Underknown Network as well as TikTok Live. I appreciate everybody in here for joining me today. And another little tidbit in terms of Bill Rasmussen and just his vision, out of his own account, mind you, nothing was like, when he went into this, didn't have very many sponsors, didn't have very much ownership. Out of his own account, in the beginnings of talks, Rasmussen roughly having $9,000 on a credit card advance as I worked to get this thing off the ground. $9,000 on a credit card advance. And to think that you could have a $9,000 limit back in 1980, 1979 is insanity to me. Like, obviously, like credit limits and fiscal cycles and all the things change with the years. It is what it is. But thinking back to 1980, knowing that I wasn't born until 14 years later, to imagine what that would have been like is crazy to me. It's just pure insanity. Like I said, you were trying to create a national television network, thousands of hours of programming, thousands of production meetings, thousands of staff meetings, thousands of hiring, interviews, all the things that goes into creating a network. Obviously, our network here knows what it's like. Not quite on the level of ESPN, but if you've ran a network or you're creating a network, you know what those ins and outs are like. From network dues to publications to publishing to like media sources getting out shows and things like that, lineups, like lots and lots and lots and lots of man hours, lots of brain power, lots of having to rely on a lot of people to help bring the vision together. It's literally called entrepreneurship. It's a thing. If you've ever done something like that, you know how difficult it is even on a small level, and to imagine trying to do that in 1979 as well. Just a little bit more information here before we close out the show. Getty Oil purchased 85% of ESPN in 1979. Getty Oil again purchased 85% of ESPN in 1979, giving you the young network resources and the credibility to obviously continue to grow. ESPN also secured the NCAA programming rights as a major advertising agreement with Anheuser-Busch. Again, you can find this information on again.com. Suddenly, this crazy idea wasn't so crazy anymore. You now have two different huge sources of financial backing, and now you start to produce your sports, and you love to see it. But here's the thing: obviously, they couldn't just take the idea away from him. Obviously, ESPN has kept growing. It's still growing to this day. Sports Center is like an institution. Like, that is my favorite show. Like, people are like, oh, Mac, what's your Sports Center? Mac, what are your Sports Center? Did you Sports Center? Like, that is my stuff. Sports Center is like my guilty pleasure. Like, what's good, Bench Bob? Thank you for joining us. You're watching the Mac Truck in the Morning Show, Mac Truck podcast, if you will. Again, presented to you by the Underknown Network and the TikTok Live Sphere. I appreciate you joining me. Just closing out the show here with an homage to Bill Rasmussen and the great vision of sports programming network that he has come up with, created, that we know to this day in terms of our four-letter network. Like I said, the network expanded to college sports, more than just professional sports, more than just live sports. It's original programming, original everything in here. Obviously, like I said, from 1979 to now, we've seen it into something crazy. And the scary part is it's not growing. That's the part about this whole thing, as the network itself is still growing. Obviously, they just had some cuts about a month ago. We've seen some big names get cut for absolutely no reason, or what seems to be childish, petty reasons. We're not going to get into all that, but the fact that this thing is still a well-oiled machine is where we're at, and I love to see it. I'm trying to, myself personally, as a podcaster, content creator, whatever you want to call me, I'm trying to get on that level and to have such a wide variety of things happening within the scope of sports media is what I love most about this entire thing. Like, I love being able to talk about sports from an athletic perspective, and being a female. I love the fact of having to have those cool conversations and actually have constructive sports conversations, not just, my team is better, oh, your team, like, I don't, like, I'm a fan, but I don't do the fandom talk when it comes to sports anymore. It's just, one, it's too redundant, two, it's not a productive conversation. If we're going to talk about something, let's make it productive, and that's what I feel like ESPN has done up until this point. Obviously some drop-offs, obviously lots of shifting around, lots of people going to their own networks, doing independent things. That's natural when it comes to the growth of an entrepreneurship, a well-oiled machine, if you will. I appreciate you so much, Bench Mob. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for coming in and supporting. I appreciate it. My wife is sending me Snapchats of my daughter playing outside, and I love it. And Like I said, I'm just blessed and highly favored to be here with you guys in this space that we call sports and entertainment in its entirety. If you haven't already, please join the Mac Truck community, trying to get up to that 100 mark so we can create more opportunities for more fans, more interaction, all the things. Still going in a decent direction. Like I said, you can catch us here daily, except tomorrow. There's no show August 20th, Thursday. But you can go back and listen to all the old episodes. The old network that we had by Riverside. Still working on trying to get some of those, some of the most recent shows out on the network itself. But you can find all the playbacks here on the TikTok sphere as well as the Underknown Network as well. Also, before we hop out of here today, we got to decide to share and have the merchandise at the end. Right now, when you shop online, either at the TikTok shop or at inmybag.bigcartel.com, and use the code word truck, you will receive 15% off your entire first order. All things Mac Truck apparel. Listen, some of the hottest lines and hottest clothing on the map included, Underknown Network included, the collab with the Tara Thomas Agency as well, is all on the map as well as inmybagapparel.bigcartel.com. Lines like West Coast Legends, Ring Me, and Bulls Dynasty Out Here is where you can find all your Mac Truck apparel. I appreciate you guys for joining us. Like I said, short docket, lots of details. No show tomorrow, the 20th. I'm going to close it up, go to the bathroom, and hang out with my family until I have to be locked in a work for 8 hours. But we'll still be around the TikTok sphere tomorrow, just no live show itself. So catch me scrolling, catch me sharing vibes, all the things. I appreciate you guys for joining us here. Make sure you like, follow, share, subscribe. Last chance to get your daily heart me until possibly Friday, even Monday. But I am the Mac Truck. I appreciate you guys for joining us here today. Like I said, thank you all for joining us. Thank you all for allowing me the opportunity to be here on this stream of entertainment with you. Like, share, and subscribe to everything on the Underknown Network. On the map today, 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Pacific Time. Samuel Green on the map, episode 19. On that music reviews tomorrow evening. Make sure you get your music in the link bio, in the bio rather. You can find it on all streaming platforms listed but not limited to YouTube, TikTok, Discord, Twitch, and all Facebook pages, TikTok pages of the network. Listen, my name is Mac Truck. It's been great. I will probably see you Friday. I'll put a post out there about if we're having a show Friday, but definitely no show tomorrow. I appreciate you guys. Love you all. Thank you so much for joining me. Until next time, stay tuned and stay spree. We'll see you on next